This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore.
How much and how often have we heard the whales of conspiracy? I don't mean whales like a big fish. I know whale's not a fish. I get it. I mean the wails, the gnashing of teeth, the lamenting about the voter fraud, and election fraud. Donald Trump was stolen from him. We need election security and integrity. It's the most important thing in America right now. How many times have we heard that from Republicans? And then invariably every time that something comes along relative to a case that gets brought and charges brought and a sentence laid down and a guilty verdict, it's a Republican. It's a guy who votes for his dead wife with her absentee ballot. It's a man who votes for his sequestered in a nursing home parent and votes for Trump for them. And the signatures don't match. They investigate and they find out what happened. A projection. I mean, that's what it is. But there is a Trump aide right now. His name is Matt Mowers. Mowers. Looks like Mowers to me. We're going to go with Mowers. Former senior aide to Donald Trump, who it is now being reported, voted twice in the 2016 primaries. Two different states. And now he's running for Congress in New Hampshire. I'm going to read from this AP article, and then I'm going to read the Matt Mowers portion of his campaign website. The AP headline here, the Associated Press, Trump aide seeking New Hampshire House seat voted in 2 states in 2016. Oh, where is the outrage? Where is the horror? Where's Donald Trump railing against this kind of criminality? This kind of election fraud. It's a rigged election. It's a rigged election. Where is he? He's certainly not talking about it at his rally that his pal, Matt Mowers, committed voter fraud. Allegedly. A former Trump administration official, now running for Congress in New Hampshire, voted twice during the 2016 primary election season, potentially, the AP writes, potentially violating federal voting laws and leaving him at odds with the Republican Party's intense focus on quote-unquote election integrity. So important, it's the most important thing ever. Unless it's a Republican committing the crime. Matt Mowers, a leading Republican primary candidate looking to unseat Democratic Representative Chris Pappas, cast an absentee ballot in New Hampshire's 2016 presidential primary, voting records show. At the time, Mowers served as the director of former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie's presidential campaign in the pivotal early voting state. 4 months later, after Christie's bid fizzled, Mowers cast another ballot in New Jersey's Republican presidential primary, using his parents' address to re-register in his home state, documents the Associated Press obtained through a public records request show. Legal experts say Mowers' actions could violate, come on, fucking lawyers. His actions could violate a federal law that prohibits voting in more than once in any general, special, or primary election. That includes casting a ballot in separate jurisdictions, quote, for an election to the same candidacy or office. It also puts Mowers, who was a senior advisor in Donald Trump's administration and later held a State Department post, in an awkward spot at a time when much of his party has embraced the former president's lies about a stolen 2020 election and has pushed for restrictive new election laws. Of course, he's pushing for restrictive election laws, even though he is allegedly guilty of voter fraud, of trying to bamboozle the system and cast 2 ballots as one individual. Liars and projection artists. And now, this goon is running for Congress in New Hampshire. This is the Meet Matt Mowers section of his campaign website. The son of a bartender and a construction worker. Matt Mowers grew up in a middle-class family that knew what hard work and patriotism looked like. You know, because bartenders and construction workers, they're extra patriotic, apparently. This is something that does happen with all politicians, where they hearken back to their childhoods. And, oh, I grew up, my mama was this or that, and you're not, though. The fact that I grew up on welfare doesn't make me more special or qualified for federal office than anybody else. It is who you are now. Especially if that middle-class upbringing and that patriotic worldview that was instilled in you doesn't actually do anything to curb your behavior and your potential criminality. Matt was raised to honor our country, our flag, and our veterans who fought to defend what it stands for. Although he didn't honor our country or our flag enough to actually serve. You know, this is a very common refrain in Republican circles, is yammering on about respect for the troops and the country and disrespect for this or that, but they don't serve. You're Ted Cruz's, you're Donald Trump's. They didn't serve. They're physical cowards, just like little Matt Mowers here. Matt's grandfather, Jack Ward, served in World War II in General Patton's army, and today, Matt is raising his son Jack on the same values he grew up with. Again, listen, thanks to your grandfather for serving in World War II. But how does that reflect on you at all? All it does for me is highlight that you didn't serve. It's not a feather in your cap that others around you in your family served their country. Matt Mowers? My kids don't get to say, oh, I'm patriotic. My dad was a Marine. That's not how it works. It's not vicarious patriotism. Nice, Ron. You fake-triot. You okay over there? Sneezy McGee. On camera. It's great. Anyway, I'd love to know what you think about this goon. This is, I would predict we're going to find out more and more and more of these particular types of cases as people weasel their way in, worm their way into the system and try to run for office. It is gross, it is hypocritical, and it's just projection. It's just naked projection. What do you think? I'd love to know. You can call, leave me a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me, daily@dollemore.com. I appreciate you so much. Follow me on social media. You can scream and yell at me and tell me what a goof I am. Maybe warranted. I'm at Dollemore on Twitter and Instagram, at Dollemore on TikTok. If I bring you some value, I would appreciate it if you consider supporting and helping produce what I do. You become a channel member for $1.99 by clicking the join button below, or go over to patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I'll see you next time. Until I do, don't be like Matt Mowers. Matt Mowers. Be genuine. Take care of one another.